the few urban spaces which are available are turning into dumping sites, which will be the ideal spaces where young people could access land to do the urban farming. So now many young people are mobilizing around this to change these spaces into parks and areas where we can do farming. We know this is a human right issue, food and environment, and we want our communities to demand for this, and proper infrastructure resources are put in place to enable this to happen now.
Hello there. Welcome to the Chakula podcast. I'm your host, Felicitas Mwalia. We bring to you all relevant issues and discussions about food in Kenya and beyond. We break down topics and dig deeper into day-to-day happenings in food and farming systems, giving a holistic view on the food we eat. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Chakula podcast. Today's conversation will be taking a different shift on food and farming systems. As we all know, Nairobi's population is expected to increase to 5.94 million in 2030, with a corresponding increase in waste generation. About half of the waste is dumped at the Dandora dumpsite. At the moment, it's a destination of over 2,000 tons of solid waste generated by Nairobi residents only. In today's episode, we are joined by three young gentlemen from Dandora who have defied it all despite all the challenges in Dandora to ensure that they are food sufficient, if not food secure. I have Charles Lukania, who's the project coordinator at Growth for Change. He'll share with us more what Growth for Change is and what they do. We also have Michael Okoth, who's an agronomist and also supports Chamie Organics, which is a project also under Growth for Change. We also have Charo Otieno from Chamie Organics as well, and he's the head of production. The three individuals who are with me today in this show are doing a very interesting project in land restoration and also trying to curb food insecurity and poverty in Dandora. Perhaps you can all introduce yourselves. Charles, who's Charles? Besides you being a project coordinator at Growth for Change, and maybe you can also share a few things on what Growth for Change does.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here today. My name is Charles Lukania. I am an environmentalist and also been working a lot in community organizing and Growth for Change, which is an initiative that is working on providing food security and improving livelihood in mostly informal settlements or areas where people are marginalized. And our key focus for now has been on urban agriculture and other environmental projects. And for now, under urban agriculture, we are working to find the most appropriate urban farming practices to promote, where we have picked on hydroponics technology, where we are working with three groups in Dandora, where we have Chamie Organics, which is a social enterprise. And then we are working with Green Solutions, which is in Korogocho. It's a community-based organization. Then the last one, it's Easy Urban Green Grower, located in Babadogo, Kasabuni. So we will share more.
Yeah.
I will let my colleagues introduce themselves.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Charles. Over to you, Michael, because I know Charles talked about Chamie Organics and you're part of Chamie Organics. Probably you can just share more on who you are and what you do at Chamie Organics.
Yeah, my name is Michael Okoth Omondi. I'm the head grower of Chamie Organics. I'm also a fisheries and a marine officer and a researcher and a developer. So let's delve on agriculture. We are focusing on urban agriculture, mostly researching and developing new technologies that will enable us to grow more food under a small space. Chamie Organics started as a company, a partnership, and me and my colleague, like during the Corona period, we decided on starting something that could impact the community. And we thought of agriculture because there was a small space, and we had researched on a few technologies, and with our previous background, our previous educational background, we decided to use the most advanced technology of our decision. So we decided that aquaponics and hydroponics is what we'll be focusing on, and we started the implementation of the project. So far, we've established vertical farms from recycling plastic materials and floating rafts that we use in the farm. So it's a part of ghetto engineering. Like we try to use inexpensive materials to reach our goal of like developing food vertical farms for increasing our growing spaces. So that's what we did, and that's what we are continuing to do. So we are impacting the society through our hydroponics and aquaponics implementation, at least to build on a agroecological development of the community.
It's quite impressive what the both of you are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, over to you, Charo.
Yes, Charo Otieno from Chamie Organics. I'm the head of production at Chamie Organics. And apart from Chamie Organics, I'm a full-time student. Yes, currently pursuing my master's in agriculture and applied economics.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I guess to set us off, it's because all the three of you come from Dandora. Probably you could just share with us and the listeners the whole context on how you operate in Dandora and why specifically hydroponics, why not farming on the soil? Is it that there's no space? Is it that the soil is also contaminated? Yeah.
Yeah, we would like to say in Dandora, the fact that there is a big dump site, there are issues with a lot of pollution, and also there is a lot of litter all over on the roads. Still, the county has not yet put up proper mechanisms in terms of the management of waste that is coming. So as the residents of Dandora, we have been championing for clean environment and working to push the county to ensure they deliver on that mandate. Another challenge has
Charles?
been
on... Maybe just to cut you short, is it that the litter in Dandora has really affected food production, food safety, basically in regards to food?
Yes.
Has the litter affected how you guys grow your food, how people, has it also affected accessibility to good quality food?
That has affected because the few urban spaces which are available are turning into dumping sites, which will be the ideal spaces where young people could access land to do the urban farming. So now many young people are mobilizing around this to change these spaces into parks and areas where we can do farming. Yes.
What I can say is that since most of the dump site is coming to that place, a lot of spaces is covered with the dump site, and these spaces is what we are trying to recover and try to transform it, to regenerate it, to try and use the urban ways of growing and also impact the society differently from the dump site. So we are not using soil because the soil is contaminated. So our farming is soilless since the soil is contaminated with the lithium deposits from the battery, other waste from the medical dumps that are being deposited there. So those chemicals affect the soil quality, and we cannot rely on their nutrients. We don't know the composition of the soil and if it is favorable for growth. So that's why we decided to go for the soilless.
Yeah.
At least it will control. We have a controlled medium. Yeah, and we use like precision farming to try and eliminate such incidences. Like we cannot, like we know that using soil is a slippery slope. Like we can put the plants, then we are not sure if we'll harvest the plant. We are not sure of the yield because of the quality of the soil. But following the other methods like aquaponics and hydroponics, we are sure that this is the yield because the environment is controlled.
Yeah, I like what you talked about, but I'm also just curious here because even I know what in terms of water, because the water is also affected by the dam site, and you guys do hydroponics and aquaponics. Where do you get your water from? Is it still the same water, or where do you get your water
No,
from?
we don't use the contaminated water from the river.
Yeah,
We rely on the water from the municipal.
yeah.
But we also have a challenge because the water from the municipal, there's chlorine, and chlorine is not good for plant or fish, for that matter. So we depend on that water, but we have some mechanism to dechlorinate it so that we can use it for growth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and given that poverty is also one of the underlying causes of hunger, and hunger doesn't necessarily mean that when there's famine, that's when there's hunger, but we know that hunger is also can also be linked to affordability and accessibility to food. One of the reasons why Growth for Change, Chamie Organics, why you also exist, I believe, is also to eliminate poverty through such projects.
Yes.
And can we say that there has been change and we really need to see cities being part in a comprehensive fight against hunger and poverty?
Yeah, we would want cities to take lead and also provide policies and resources to enable this. Because currently, as Nairobi, even with the latest COVID-19, we are totally dependent on external counties to feed our population, and it means we are not utilizing the available spaces. Could be rooftops, could be river spaces or walls. So we would want to push for this to happen through the building sectors so that many of the available spaces can be used for communities to provide their own food and be self-reliant. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Anything else that the Charo or
Yeah, so the vulnerability made us to venture into agriculture so that we may try to combat this. Since this technology can be portable and can be replicated in any environment, since it doesn't need that much space for you to produce vegetables for your family. Yeah, so the concept of kitchen gardens is what we're targeting to achieve by the hydroponics technology. So this would at least improve the dietary concerns of the households, which is the families around the dumping site.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anything to add, Mike?
Yeah, then we are a science and technology research and development like entity. So our first thing was to like rely on that dump site to make the change. So we are targeting to get the plastic out of there, then we mold them into like pre-made vertical towers, And you see, when we have such a policy or something, it's easy to replicate it in other regions. Like they will be relying they'll be relying on the recyclables that are molded to provide the technology to continue with the urban growth. So with what we are doing, we are using the ghetto engineering. Like we are taking the things from the dump site, then that's what we are implementing into our technology to ensure that we are maximizing our growth. So you can see like in our system with the floating rafts, these floating rafts are just waste from the dump site.
Okay.
And that's what we are using to grow. The plastic, if we can, like, it's for us, it's just a concept, but we are thinking that we take the plastic, then from, like, we rely on another person who is molding, who can recycle it and mold it into pipes of different inches. So from these pipes, we make them to be the vertical farms. So we have the knowledge and the know-how and the skills. So we're just waiting for to make it a policy.
Yeah.
Then we can stretch it, we can improve our footprint.
Yeah.
So we started in the ghetto to try and at least give some people the inspiration that it's these things that they are portraying as waste that can help us to achieve certain strides, especially in the urban growth. Yeah, urban farming.
Yeah, you've all mentioned very interesting insights on the dump sites and the projects you're doing, but it's also very important for the three of you to also just share more with our listeners on how hydroponics, more on hydroponics basically. And when you talk about urban farming, kitchen gardening, people always assume that the yield you get there, it's also not really sufficient for you to also share with many of your neighbors. But in Dandora, when you're talking about fighting poverty, improving livelihoods through these projects, have you been able to see any change? Mm-hmm.
At first, while talking of improving livelihood, first we have to know whom are these people who are suffering from food insecurity. Yes. How many are them? Why are they even suffering from food security? Yes, we know the location, which is Dandora, where we are actually practicing our projects. But this then brings about the conversation, the discussion around why they even need the hydroponics technology, since most of these people don't believe in agriculture as a way of improving their livelihood. So hydroponics is the best way to go. Like vertical farming, you can achieve a more number of plant growth as per the square area. Like basically, for us, we started with a prototype, which is a 2 by 3 meters, and it had a carrying capacity of 300 plants. Yes, so as compared to the conventional way of farming, you can see that we are actually targeting more numbers into a limited space. Yes. So on the technicalities and the applications.
Yeah, I can say like hydroponics is the most ideal that we decided to implement. Yeah, because of the ability to recycle the water. Like most of the water, we know we are in the urban area. So the water bills, the electricity bills, these are things that has to be footed in the process of the growth. But you see, this process, since it is a recycling process, a closed loop, we are able to recycle most of the water. So it's also a bit, like I can say, it's cheaper than feeding the conventional way.
Yeah.
Because the conventional way, every day you have to feed the plant with more water, and this water is getting absorbed into the soil. So we are not recycling it.
So basically what you're trying to say is that hydroponics, it's like nature-based?
Yeah,
You
it's
rely?
nature based. Both hydroponics and aquaponics. On the part of aquaponics, the fish waste, the fish water is what is pumped to the plant to provide nutrients. So you see, it's a natural process and it's symbiotic. So the fish benefit from the plants, then the plants benefit from the fish. So it's just that cycle that helps us to reduce our expenses, reduce our water utility, and also on the part of electricity, we can use like solar to go off grid. So this project is like something that is futuristic to help us with our food problem. Yeah, and that's why we wanted like we found ourselves there, and the first place of change was the first place of charity was to begin there and see what the impact of the hydroponics will be, the hydroponics and the aquaponics. And so far, we've seen that we are growing more within a smaller space. We are not affected by the soil-borne pests within that. So much of the activities that would have been affecting us in the soil growing process, we are putting it under control in the hydroponics process.
So it's definitely working for.
It's working for us.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. Charles, anything to add?
No, for us, we are keen on getting to know the feasibility and the effectiveness of these systems. So we are very keen on getting the right data, getting to know what are the budgets that are required to be able to set up these systems, and how long will it take to see the return on the investment, so that we see the most simple and cost-effective approach that we can promote at most of the informal settlements. So for us now, our focus is more on the study, and we are getting to monitor and evaluate the whole process, so that this will inform the plans for 2023.
Yeah.
And further support to more groups and more businesses who are already working on such projects. Yes.
Yeah, we've been seeing the country being alive, talking about empowering and encouraging the youth, many of whom suffer silently under the weight of food insecurity and the high cost of living, among other factors, which we've also talked about: space, getting land in agriculture. And you, as a young group, have you also been able to see other young people embracing the whole concept? And given the fact that we've also been seeing the government being alive, just talking about how we need to empower our youth, has the government, have you been able to approach the county government and see if they can support most young people living in Dandora, Korogosho, Babadogo, just within the dump site, in such projects?
We can say we have approached the county, and they are one of the key stakeholders, and one of the key resources they are providing is mostly technical guidance, and there have been a lot of challenge to access funds for many groups, and that is an area as a group we are pushing the county so that we can ensure they provide the necessary resource, because you can see to put these systems require some capital and some kind of startup costs to be able to enable the young people and women run the systems, and also trainings. Especially we need in-depth training focusing on how we can maximize on the operations of the systems, and we see these things are still missing at the grassroots. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Charles. Probably, I know as Growth for Change, Chamie Organics, you all have a bigger picture, basically, at the end of the day, not really how do I say it here? There's that one thing you want to see basically at the end of the day, the projects you're doing, the small projects which are really good in Dandora. So
We would like to say one thing we want to see is we want to see young people running their own businesses, uh, and they are making a living from farming. So we are very keen to support them in that whole process to achieve this.
So maybe perhaps what you're trying to say is that at the end of the day, what you want to see is that these gardens or basically the hydroponic system being a means to achieving a certain goal.
Exactly,
Yeah, just a means.
livelihood
Yeah.
and all that. And what we are keen, we hope to build like our own market space through cooperatives within these spaces, so that we can be able to support each other as young people, and be able to meet the gap that is there, which we see in terms of food as a business opportunity for the young people to exploit it. Currently, many big commercials or corporations are just taking this opportunity, and then they are importing food which we don't know or can trace where it's coming from. But now the government has already put some measures under KEBS that is enforcing to trace food from the farm to the kitchen table. And we see and we want the young people to take a leading role in this, and see this as an opportunity to establish themselves.
Yeah, and on the dump site?
Yes.
On the dam side, we hope that maybe it will change. And one process of bringing the change is through these methods. So we we know that the green spaces are quite limited in the urban regions, but we see in other regions like Singapore and other Asian countries, they are like adopting this kind of futuristic way of growing in the rooftops, in the small urban areas. So it's something that is viable, and we also can try to adopt it. So we are sure that since we are seeing its viability, then the method of like multiplying it to be to other people so that it can be like an employment multiplier or something, it's logical. Yeah, so we are seeing that from what we are doing, other people can do that. And we require now the help of the county government, because it's a matter of training. And what we have now, because it's a bit technical for some people, and like in conventional where you just transplant or you put the seed, then you water it and you expect it to grow. Then after some few time you add the fertilizer. This, it's precision farming. So the people who will be adopting it, they will require some knowledge about it, about the management, about the handling, about the monitoring on like everything that they will want to do. They'll need to know it beforehand. Yeah, so we need their support on the training. Yeah, then on creating more awareness, like on platform like this or other platforms that the national government or the county government can promote, to ensure that many youths maybe get to hear about this and they follow suit. Yeah, if they can adopt it, then we are good in terms of the food security, in terms of relying on organic food.
And also
Yeah,
poverty.
reducing poverty, improving the lives of the people participating in the agriculture. Yeah. So it has many. It's diverse. It has many advantages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. For you, Charo?
Yes, for me, I see a food secure society. Since we have the enough spaces, it's only upon us to now get into work and rehabilitate the spaces. since most of the spaces can be rehabilitated, there are many ways which we can recycle the organic wastes. Since there is the issue of insects, which we can use the black soldier flies to make frass fertilizer out of it, and also we can use it as animal feeds. Yes. So with that, I know we can achieve food security among the society.
Okay, quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been a very interesting discussion, and we are almost wrapping up the show. Any parting shots?
Yeah, for me, my parting shot will be, we are asking any partner or someone who's listening and is keen to work with us, feel free to contact us through our channels, which is Growth for Change _ V4C, and we will respond and see areas of synergy, because currently some of the challenge we are facing is on building on our research, for to do action research that will inform our market study, and also looking into business development support for the groups in terms of coaching, mentorship, and we are also keen on getting funds to understand the biofertilizer, which is part of waste upcycling project, and we are keen to do more investigation so that we are more precise in terms of the nutrients composition. And another thing which we are keen is, now once we have known the project we are doing is feasible, we will need resources to make the systems effective and also scale up to make a bigger impact in our communities and make the change we require. One and last thing, we know as our organization, it's called Voices for Change. We are focusing more on making the voices to be heard from the youths, women, and we are keen to work on advocacy projects, creatives, to communicate some of the issues, challenges, or express themselves openly, and that is a level we are keen to engage beyond the physical and actual production of the farming. If there are issues where communities are being undermined, or there are misappropriation of funds to do this, we want to raise voice, demand for what is rightfully ours. And yes, and we know this is a human right issue, food and environment, and we want our communities to demand for this, and proper infrastructure resources are put in place to enable this to happen now.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I really like what you said on the last bit. So for you, Michael, what have you not said throughout the session that you feel that you really need to say it before we wrap up the show?
Actually, I feel like I've said enough, but I'll just want to express that we need to link with more stakeholders and make this not just a matter of production or a household thing, but we make it a policy. Then we see on ways of progressively increasing our abilities to increase it, so that we can increase our quality and volume of food production.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Charo.
I can just say that hydroponics farming and aquaponics farming is a proven farming technology. Yes. For us, it's working. Now it's upon us to create awareness.
Yeah.
Yes, we have to advocate for it, for people to adopt the technology. Yes, so since I know it will help in at least for the household to achieve food sustainability.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you so much to our listeners for listening in today. Asante sana, share, like, subscribe.